Hi, everybody. This is Dave Hondel. Welcome to the Stage Door Show tonight. You're listening to us on iHeartRadio and anywhere you get your podcast. So we're back in the saddle again, coming down from New Jersey. We are now settled in the Miami area. So this has been about a month. So we're back in it, and we're excited to have our first guest since our hiatus. It's Nico B, recording artist out in Phoenix, Arizona. How you doing, Nico?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great, and thank you for joining us tonight. I know we're excited because you just had a new single come out called "Come Back." So, let's talk about, first of all, before we get to that, I want to talk about your journey in music because it's very interesting. I've read your biography, and I know you started in the church, which is kind of near and dear to me because I did a lot of music videos for gospel artists back about 10 years ago on BETs, and so I know that. There's quite a journey from starting in the church and kind of crossing over into other genres of music. So why don't you tell me about your journey starting out with the church?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in church my whole life, grew up in church, actually lived in Detroit first. And so there I was really the kid who loved to do, I was in the choir, but I was the kid who wanted to do acting and who wanted to do the dance ministry and stuff. So from there, moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and Detroit from Cleveland to Cleveland, and started doing, kind of kept it up. But I actually had like I was in dance like really heavy in Detroit, and moved to Ohio and had started into a little bit of music. My mom had asked me in like 8th grade, she's like, "Bree, I won't ask you for anything else. Just do this one favor for me." I'm like, "What's that? What do you want me to do?" She's like, "Just try out for this, this youth praise team." And I'm like, "Just do what? I don't want to do that, Ma. You know me, I'm chill. Like, I don't want to do that." And I was like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." She's like, "I won't ask you for anything else." I'm like, all right. So I gave it a shot and ended up falling in love with it, and actually started teaching, and I started doing the songs and really got heavy into that. And then from that church, I went to the Word Church, which is a huge church in Cleveland. A major shout out to them because that's who really pulled the voice out of me and who really tested my range, and Mark T. Jackson and Timothy Reddick and just so many other people on that team who were super awesome, who were awesome writers and producers and singers as well. But yeah, that journey, they pulled me up there, and I started to, and all throughout high school and college, actually joined that team, the adult praise team early, and even taught in the young adults praise team. So I was just kind of doing everything, and so church was just all in my blood. But that's kind of where I started, and from there, literally through college as well.
And starting in Detroit and then Cleveland, I mean, you couldn't really be in two better music cities than those two to really kind of be in music and singing. And, but talking about being in the church, because one thing that I'm fascinated with, and I always have been by doing, a lot of gospel music videos, is the fact that when you're in the church and you're singing, what fascinates me is I don't think people realize that the passion that goes into, the music in church. And when you sing, I mean, you're really, it's more than just singing for yourself. I mean, obviously you're singing for God, but I think that kind of it really brings it out, and that brings out the passion, and it really kind of shows the energy when you sing, and it kind of brings you to the higher level, right, man? Like at next level when you're singing in church. I mean, right?
Yeah. So I can witness to that because, of course, when you go on the stage, and for me, I have to, like you said, remember that you're not singing for yourself, you're singing for first Christ. But also I have to remember that there are people looking at me. The Word Church, that was my biggest platform I've ever sang on. I've sang in front of thousands of people, streaming across the world every Sunday, leading songs and just being on a platform. And back in Cleveland, I was known as the girl with the colored hair. So I would be spotted out like, "Hey, you're the girl with the colored hair. You sing on the praise team." So I had to remember that, this was not about me. This was for other people. And this was about bringing, letting people know, what I'm saying, you can be dope and have different, be different. Because I was always that girl that's different. So it was just like you could be dope and just sing and just really draw people just to your personality. And I've had little kids and I've had, old people come up to me and just, tell me about my gift. And it just makes me just want to spread it more. And then even being behind, being on that praise team, I've been able to sing behind so many gospel artists. And it's been super, super dope, like Casey J, and got to sing with William Murphy, and just just to name a couple, like, it's just been an awesome experience. Well, I give a lot of credit there, but, you know, that's what, you know, honed in that, hey, you have a gift. You have a gift that you need to share with people because it's not about you.
So talk about also the, you know, kind of crossing over, because I know that in the church it's not always looked upon favorably to go from gospel music into R&B, pop, and secular music. So were you challenged, and did anybody push back on that dream of yours to kind of cross over a little bit, or how did that go?
So honestly, I can really say that I've had a smooth transition because people who know me, like, they know I love music. They know I used to love, you know, growing up, my favorite was neo soul and like, definitely listen to gospel, but I love my Beyonce and, you know, listen to a lot of stuff. So it was never like it wasn't in the household. You know, nothing crazy, you know, mom's monitor, but it was just, you know, it wasn't really like a surprise because I've always loved music. And so, you know, nobody really showed me because so my journey from college, when I turned 21, I was able to go out and, you know, go into open mics and, you know, actually get into these places now that I'm, you know, able to get in there. So I used to go in there and I was able to go and try an open mic. I didn't want to go in there. I was just going to spectate, just go kind of get the vibes. And a young lady walked up to me. Her name is Vashti, and she walked up to me. She's a singer too, and she was hosting that night. She's like, "Who are you? What do you do? Do you sing?" And whoever I was with, they were like, "Yeah, she sings." And I was like, okay. And then she was like, "Do you know any Jill Scott songs?" And I'm like, yeah. And she was like naming a couple, and I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't really want to sing." And she's like, "What did she go by, y'all? What did she go by?" And I was like, "My name is Bree, but like, I was go by Bree." At the time, I was going by Bree Nicole, and I was like, "Well, let's run with that if she does call me up here." But I didn't really think she was. But as soon as she got back on there, "So I have a young lady," I'm like, man. So I got up there and found out that I actually enjoyed it more than I thought, because I know I've always had a connection with the crowd. It was a different type of nerve because, like, I'm used to being on stage, you know what I'm saying, in front of people leading worship, but I've never been in front of, you know, people who are a little bit, you know, church people critique you, but when you have an awesome band and an awesome team behind you, it's not as bad. But when it's about you by yourself and it's just like the band is kind of going with you and you're doing this for the first time, it's a different type of nerve. But after I got done with that song, I was like, man, I think I like this. And so, as you know, that was my junior year of college, so I was still singing in church, and I was extremely heavily involved in church. And people, I would never hide that I would be out, you know what I mean? And that's one thing, it's like, you can't be hiding that, trying to cover it up. And people, I would see people out at these open mic events. Hey, you sing on the praise team? I sure do. How you doing? And, you know, it was never frowned upon, I think, because it was like they understand that a lot of our musicians at the church were, you know, I'm going with them to these events, and they're the musicians playing at the gigs, you know what I mean? So it was never a hard transition, and even, you know, my mom's been supportive. She's really my backbone, you know what I mean? So she's been super supportive. So when you have moms, you know, you really, it's like, all right, I got what I need. But you know, that was just my first awakening of, like, you know, okay, maybe I do have a little bit more to give other than this, you know, I never said I wanted to sing gospel, but I was like, you know, all right, maybe I do have something here.
Yeah. You know, what is your, I guess, your biggest influence? Who do you look up to in the business that kind of keeps you interested in wanting to pursue this further? I mean, do you have any influences out there?
I have a lot of influences. I always get nervous on this question because, like, you don't want to miss, you know, people that are important to you, but I am terrible with favorites. So off the top of my head, I say her because she's just super, super dope all around. Young, gifted Black woman, you know, definitely support that. And, you know, who's just gifted. She has so many talents, in writing, you know, to producing, everything. So her, I would say today, like, I was just bumping Mary Mary. So that's something that I definitely, you know, will always stand on. Mary Mary is one of my favorites. I really love James Fauntleroy. He's super dope, writer, singer. Let's see here. I could say Lucky Day, super dope. I really like Smino. It's so many. I just love all types of genres in here. Like, I really love Moonchild. Moonchild, one of my favorite bands. Incredible band, incredible trio. Let's see here. Hiatus Coyote, they're super dope. So it's just, I have a lot of influences, but
Yeah, I mean, and it's always good to have influences too. But you know, from listening to your sound, I mean, you really have your own kind of sound, your unique sound, which I really like. You know, I listen to a lot of your music on your on your site, and one of the things that I want to get into is really going to Phoenix. How that's obviously out west, and what's the like the vibe like out there as far as music goes? Because I know Phoenix is a big city, and I know there's a music scene there, but going from Detroit and Cleveland over to Phoenix, I mean, that's got to be kind of a culture shock a little bit.
Man, let me tell you all about it. It is a different shock here. The first thing I say when people are like, "Do you miss Cleveland?" And I'm like, absolutely, but not for the city itself, but for the music, because it's so many dope, talented people out there. And it's such a open, like, arms are open to young people, you know what I mean? And as I've left and I've watched and, watched from a distance, I see it growing even more and everybody coming together, and it's such a beautiful thing. Out here, it's kind of like, it could be a little rough to kind of get in here because you have your bands that have been doing this for so long versus the people who are fresher on the scene. So I have to definitely shout out to Cosmic Cadence. He has an incredible platform for all types of performers, from poets to rappers to singers, and anybody who is just interested in it and has a gift. So they are able to go on, and every Wednesday night he puts this on, and I've been on that platform a couple times, and that's probably more where I would go when I could shout out to these, to where we could go. But it's a different thing. That Midwest flavor is not all the way here, and I gotta say, it's something about that Midwest sound, and it's something about that Midwest people and Midwest musicians. There's something about it, and I love Arizona, but it was a culture shock for real. So for me, that caused me to kind of get in my bubble, because it was like I don't see the scene to go out like I did in Cleveland. So it caused me to kind of get into my bubble, which caused me to, out here, my writing was pulled from, not being able to go out and perform. And that's where this whole writing thing came from, is really when I sat still in Phoenix and realized that there's more to me than just singing, and this writing gift started coming around.
Yeah, talk about the writing piece of it, because I think a lot of people, when they get into music or they get in there an indie artist, they have aspirations, I guess, to being like well known or famous or whatnot. And I think a lot of times people get into like music writing, and it's really about the art of music more than being famous. It's about creating art or creating something that is bigger than yourself, and talk about that. What is your aspirations? I mean, what do you want to do like down the road? I know you're singing right now and you're writing, but I mean, what do you want to make a career out of? Do you want to write, or do you want to do both, or what do you want to do?
So before moving here, honestly, I never grew up knowing that you could make money off of music, and so my mind has shifted being here, because I've been surrounded by the producer on the record, PJ Hill, and other incredible producers and musicians that I've met, mostly from Milwaukee, that is family out here, and they do music, and they've been doing this for so long, and I, just organically, in the Gaines brothers, and have organically, divinely, I should say, have made connections where it was like, yo, you're able to make money off of this. Like, what are you doing? You have a gift. And I'm like, yo, thanks, but like, make money. Like, no, I'm about to just work this job and try to, because I actually went to school for interior architecture. So I went to a private art school. So I know all about, your art piece and your work being so valuable to you and having more meaning than just it making money. And so when I got into writing, they pulled me into the studio and like, come on down. And I'm like, finally pulled up on them, and I remember writing my first record in less than like an hour. I got on the mic. I had never been behind a mic, and I was working with Fred Boswell. He's a dope drummer out here, and he was like, he had this beat going, and I just started sitting there and started singing something and got behind the mic, and next thing you know, I had wrote a whole record, and I was like, wow. I mean, at least got half the record. I finished the rest of the record like a day or two later. But I was like, man, maybe I do have something, because they've been around music. I haven't really been exposed, even though I was able to grow up around a lot of people and been exposed to gospel artists and things like that. I never knew that, people writing so organically was a thing, or being able to write in the studio. So they're like, no, you have a gift. You don't realize. We work with people. You have something here. And so now that I've been exposed to that, I'm like, I can make money off of this. I have a gift, and I'm a firm believer that God doesn't give you something for you not to use it.
The way your love led us, I thought it made me feel better. I finally got you out my bed, but I still can't get you out my head. Sending you one text at a time. Know you by your phone, so boy, pick up your line. I ain't too proud to beg, so what's been said has been said. And I need you to know you don't know what love is. I need you to know, 'cause you don't know what love is if you don't put up a fight. You don't know what love is if you don't stay up all night crying. You don't know what love is if you're too good to call a million times. You say you know what love is, but I swear you never seen it in your life. In your life, in your life. I swear you never seen it in your life. I swear you never seen it in your life. Nah.
And so now that I've been able to sit down on it, and like, man, I remember working my one job, and I be in a restaurant. I'm the hostess, and I'm up there pulling receipt paper and writing lyrics on receipt paper. And I'm like, stash them in my pocket, before the night's over. And I'm like, if this is what it's like, I can't sit on this. I have so many ideas and songs in my head, and I have these papers still stuffed into my writing journal. Like, it's crazy. So yeah. I want to be a songwriter, because first, that's what I do. The artist is there in me because of my past and my history and all the things that God, instilled in me through life lessons and my surroundings. But first, I'm a songwriter. And yes, I want to be an artist, because I know I am an artist, and I want to be both. That's to sum up the question. I want to be both. Because I have the gift. As scary as it can be, I know I have the gift to touch people, and I want to touch people. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's well said. The other thing is talking about writing, Come Back, your single that was released in July. Talk about that a little bit. I mean, what was the inspiration for that, and why was that one released? You have a lot of ideas, you said, and talk about this song a little bit and why it's so special.
So, quarantine hit, as we all know, in March. I was actually out of town for my sister's wedding, and ended up staying out of town, and came back and got back to Arizona. And PJ Hill, the producer, he hit me up. He's like, man, B, we got to get in the studio. Like, now that we sitting down, I got a little setup, you know what I'm saying? Let's go to the studio and let's make some magic. We always knew we had something. We just never could sit still and align our schedules to actually work. So we were like, man, let's do it. Like, I just want to see what I have, because I've never, like, I had opportunities to sit, sporadically, but this was the first time where I was able to sit and just create for hours and hours and hours and days, weeks. And so through this time, Comeback was birthed. And I remember walking in the studio, P was sitting here working on the beat, and I was like, hey, this is a vibe, you know what I mean? And we sat here, and I started with the chorus, and then we sat here and we wrote wrote the rest of the song within, I think we finished that song within a night. We finished that song in a night. The only thing we didn't have on that record was the bridge. That's it. But we had finished that record, one and done, and we walked out like, that's a record. But it was never like, I never thought that was going to be my single, because I had honestly come back. This release was so sporadic, but it was definitely lined up perfectly. But it was not, it was not what I thought, and I didn't think this was going to be my record, but it was something we always said about this record that was like something special. So what came about this release was actually we had sat here. I got a call from a gentleman named Ryan Hill. He has his own TV show he puts on YouTube, and it's a super dope talk show. And he invited me and was like, "Hey, I need you to come on here and sing a record for me." I'm like, "Cool." Like, but I was like, I can't do my somebody else's song. I have so many songs. I'm an artist. Like, I have songs in the vault. I can't sing somebody else's record on this if it's gonna be, to everybody for the rest of the world. I mean, for the rest of the lifetime, I can't do somebody else's song. Right. So we were going through the catalog. I had picked 2 songs that I said, all right, one of these are gonna be it. And we were sitting in the car, I remember, and we were going through the songs, and P was like, "Yo, we gotta try. How about Comeback? Go back to that record. Let's play that one." And both of us looked at each other and was like, "Yep, this the one." And we just remembered a moment, and so we were like, "Man, all right." So I got on. We decided to record that record, and from there we had to put the song out, of course, because people gonna hear it. We got to have it available. You know what I mean? This is a record. So we have to have this available. And so this was kind of just all organically ordained, you know what I mean, and timing. Huge believer on timing. So it just kind of all worked out that way. It's just a beautiful, beautiful situation to me. Pushed me outside my bubble and said, boom, I'm here.
All right, so let's get into some of the covers. I know that obviously original music is where we want to go in the future, but I know you've been very successful singing a lot of cover music as well. You performed a lot doing cover music. So talk about some of your favorite covers that you've done.
Yeah, so one of my favorite live covers that I've done, so I have those videos like on my social media, but I say my favorite one to do is Cherish the Day. That was a super dope record, and but as far as the ones that I got to record and do put on social media here for everybody to hear, I have to definitely shout out to this Janet Jackson No Sleep record. I have to give a shout out to that one. That's one of my favorite ones for sure. So growing up, I always was like, one day I'm going to do this record. One day I'm going to sing this record. But I didn't know that I was actually going to do it. And I remember putting it into the session, and I was like, this was a challenging record for me to get. I remember trying it over and over, spending hours on it, and like being frustrated over it. And one day it just clicked. And so this No Sleep, this is one of my favorite ones that I'm most proud of that I've been able to put out for the world to hear. Yeah,
we're listening to Nico B on iHeartRadio, and again, we're excited to have her on because she's up and coming and on the scene, and she's out in Phoenix, but she's going to be everywhere, worldwide, very soon. And Nico, I wanted to also talk to you a little bit about marketing yourself as an indie artist, because I know that a lot of independent artists out there, some succeed, but others don't have a good marketing plan and they kind of fall by the wayside. So what do you do, either by social media or other marketing means that kind of sets you apart from some of the other artists?
So the fun part, this has been a really, really fun journey because the social media stuff has been in my hands. So having that art background, like I said, I went to school for interior architecture, but got a taste of graphics. So graphics was actually my minor, if you want to call it that. And so it's been kind of in my own hands to give people what's in my head pretty much right now. And I just try to, I have a great photographer who has done, most of the photos on my page that are professional. Her name is Idara Ekpo. She's amazing at capturing just the essence of Black people and doing really amazing photography. And so taking her photos is just like, that's definitely the first inspiration because it sets the tone, it sets the color, what's the mood. And so I had these photos, and so it kind of just started with how I released with the, I don't know, I just get inspiration from, I look at stuff like this. And so I had the photos. I'm like, how can I make this, put the photos out with the music? How can I integrate these things? And so I'm kind of just learning on my own and taking it step by step, you know what I mean, and seeing what attracts people and, learning reels and learning all types of stuff. But I'm still learning the game, honestly. I can't say we know exactly to the down to the nitty gritty, but yeah.
So there's a couple of questions I like to ask all the artists on the show, and one of the questions is, if there was one venue, any stage in the world, no matter where it is, what's your fantasy stage to play on? What venue would you like to play on more than any place else in the world?
That is a question I've never been asked before. So you stumped me with that one. Man, I've never been asked that. I am stumped on that. I mean, of course I would. Oh, wow. I have to think on that one for a second. Can we come back to that one?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's funny because I hear all kinds of answers on that. I hear from Madison Square Garden to Royal Hall and you know.
Something hit me right now. I would say this is not a literal stage, but I've always dreamed, and I believe I will make it here. I want to be on NPR's Tiny Desk. That's a stage that I would love to be on. Yes, I love turning on NPR Tiny Desk and watching artists because it's them and their authentic self. You know what I mean? In this intimate setting, and you know, I don't know how many people are actually in the audience. You know, they give you little glimpses every now and then, but it's still like you have your band. I'm a sucker for live music, so catch me live. You know what I'm saying? It's a different vibe when we hear from Comeback for sure. Yeah. So I would say NPR Tiny Desk. That got me. It hit me.
Okay, there you go. And then also another question I like to ask is you know, what do you want your legacy to be? I know you're young, you're just getting started in the game, and you're up and coming. But you know, what do you want when it's all said and done? Let's say 40 years from now, when you're starting to kind of wind down in the career, and you know, you want to just relax a little bit. You know, what do you want the fans to be left with your career? That
we made music that lasts through lifetime. I want this music to play well past when I'm dead. You know what I mean? I don't want music that, of course, we have our stuff that's for certain times, but I want to have records that play for generations. You know what I mean? Like, I look at my younger sister, and she was literally a toddler when Michael Jackson passed, and she is the hugest Michael Jackson fan I've ever met. That girl knows every song, every lyric, every beat, every background, she has every picture. You know what I mean? This is stuff that is going from generation to generations, and she didn't even know who Michael Jackson was. You know what I mean? So that's the type of legacy that I want to leave, and I want to leave people knowing that you know, just, I mean, about me is just that I gave what I could, and that I put my all into my music. And that this is a baby, you know what I mean? Every song, every anything that I touch musically, it's literally so precious. And I really hope that it touches people, you know, past, you know, making the money or whatever people go into this. This is really not about the money. This is about sharing your art and people receiving it and being touched by it. So that's really what I just want people to get from me, you know, moving forward as they get to know me and hear from me and hear my music and my story and my journey.
That's well said. So what's next for Nico B? What are you going to be working on next now that Comeback has been released? I mean, what can we expect from you?
So there's definitely some visuals in the works that I'm excited to share to you all for that record. It's going to be super dope. And just making music. I don't put a time limit on anything because life happens and things happen and you never know what's needed for what time. Like I said, Comeback was just, we didn't know what record was going to be the record. We recorded that record literally the day we released that record. We didn't know until this is a cute little story behind Comeback that nobody has heard, is that we were sitting here maybe June, so the record released July 16th. We're sitting here talking, and we're, like, preparing for the release, and me and PJ are sitting here talking, and I'm like, I went back to my lyrics. I date everything. I date all of my stuff that I type in. I went back, and I said, I just almost dropped my phone and just I just teared up and I just started crying and saw that the date that we released the record was the same date we wrote the record a year ago. So a year ago to the date, we had no idea. We didn't plan this. We didn't put it together. We literally didn't know. And I'm like, for me, God knows that I love numbers and things like that. So he was like, for me, that's like, man, you're on the right path. I got you. This is the record. You know what I mean? So right, exactly. So it's just, I don't put a time limit, but I just know that there's going to be, you know, more music and maybe an album in the works, maybe a mixtape. We don't know. Maybe an EP. I'm just going to ride this wave, but know that there's music for sure to be shared. And visuals and a little, you know, a little something that I'm not going to share yet, but it's coming. We got some stuff coming for y'all. So I'm super excited. This is just a journey that I'm just excited to share and just be a part of myself, watching from the outside.
So let's tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, how they can see you, how they can watch your content, and where are you on social media and internet? Yeah,
so you can find me everywhere on social media at I am Nico B _. Again, I am Nico B _. And that's on all social media. If you type in Comeback Nico B on all streaming platforms, you can find me for sure. We are everywhere. We are live everywhere. So, yeah, reach out to me. You know, I hope you guys love the record and really tune in with me.
Absolutely. Well, Nico B, the single Come Back was released recently, so make sure you check that out, like she said, on all streaming platforms. Nico B, I cannot thank you enough for joining us tonight. iHeartRadio and everywhere that you can listen to podcasts, because I know that our listening audience, they need this right now. This is something that everybody, it's been a tough couple of years, but I think with music like yours, I think it puts a smile on people's face. So thank you for what you do, and I cannot wait for the future to see what Nico B is going to do. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
I left my shampoo in your shower. I left my smile inside your head. My song gon' replay in your speaker. I left my t-shirt on the edge of your king bed. I tell myself that I'm not stupid. Your hungry heart was overfed. Say you made your bed, you got the line. But then you lied to me instead. Now you gon' miss me when I'm gone. You gon' miss me when I'm gone. And I've been waiting for too long. Now you gon' miss me when I'm gone. I left my necklace on your counter to wrap my soul inside your heart. Painted lipstick on your mirror. Took what you left me with and turned it into art.